Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, bonjour, ciao, ni hao, privet, hola, good day, and today, oi he. You're listening to the Road to World 26 podcast, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only place to find your regular soccer content on the top English Premier League teams, other football stuff, and as you well know, because you're listening to this, the World Cup 2026. And we've got some exciting plans ahead of next season, which we'll be bringing to you very, very soon. But I'm your host, Nick Britten. As always, I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, and he's got his smart hat on today because he's been researching a lot on what our postbag was last week. So we're going to come to that in a bit. But hello, Mr. Ken Davies.
Hello, how are you doing? You had a nice week? Better than last week, let's be honest.
It's been a very busy week because we put in, and you know this because we've been talking to each other all the time on this, lots of plans for the Global Sports Podcast Network for next season, lots of plans for the Road to World Cup podcast after next week when we have finished this current cohort of teams that are qualified and what we're going to do then. We'll be telling you more about that next week. Yeah, so lots on the go, my friend. Lots on the go.
It's almost like we plan this stuff, isn't it? It's not just like off the cuff. We're not winging it. We're actually, this is meticulously curated. It's like one day this will win a Pulitzer Prize, and that's why.
It should do. It should do, because the hours I spend researching all of this. But the reason I do it, folks, is because you don't have to. So we bring you everything you need so you don't have to worry about it. All you need to do is sit back, chill out, grab a beer or a cup of tea or whatever takes your fancy and enjoy the next 45 minutes, because we are continuing our deep dive into teams who have qualified for the World Cup 2026. And today we're having a look at one of the bookies' favourite of the Asian teams to progress into the competition next year. They may be known as the Korean Republic, or you may know them as South Korea. What do you reckon, Kenny?
I reckon it's very nice, actually. It's very melodic. The only criticism I'd make, it doesn't sound very Korean. It sounds a bit Western. I'd like, and I'm always on this particular hobby horse.
I was going to say, yeah, this is one of your favourite topics, isn't it?
Yeah, I much prefer a national anthem to sound like it's from the country that it's actually from. And that sounds a bit Western to me, but it was a perfectly pretty tune.
Yeah, I think that's probably it, isn't it? It's a bit pretty. That's it. That's it. It's not stirring, really. Not stirring. We'll see where that comes in next year's World Cup of National Anthems that we will be doing ahead of the real World Cup next year. As always, we're going to do a little bit of a roundup of World Cup news for you. Ken is going to be having a look at the history of South Korean football. I'll be picking out 5 key players who we want to keep an eye out for ahead of next year. And Ken will tell you which formation they're likely to play in. We've got a little bit. We had a postbag last week, actually. And if you're listening last week, Michelle from Houston raised the issue of essentially what is the point of extra time? What is the point of it? And Ken was so taken by this that he's gone away and done a load of research in terms of how many goals are scored in extra time and all of that, Ken. Is that right?
And so I've been doing some homework. I love a deep dive down a rabbit hole. But that's another story. I like also analysing mathematical things. And I thought, that's really floats my boat. That's another thing. And I thought I'd have a proper look at this. And so I had a proper look at it, and I can report back. And I'll be reporting back in the second half of this show.
Good. We're taking a bit of a deep dive into Ken's dark side, I think. We will, as always, have everybody's favourite time of the week, which is Kenny's quiz. I'll be having a look at the South Korean manager. And then to finish the podcast, as we always do, we will stab in the dark where we think South Korea, Korea Republic, call them what you want, they will come in next year's World Cup. We did talk about this last week very briefly, didn't we? What are they actually called? The official name.
I think I'm going with Korea Republic. We're not going to be doing South Korea Republic every time we refer to them. I'm going to call them the Korea Republic.
Okay, that's fine. I'll call them South Korea then. The official name. I took a deep dive into this. I did some proper research, and the answer to our question is very simple. So, Korea Republic refers to the football team or anything that's specific to Korea. South Korea refers to the kind of geographical area, and over the last however many years, it's just become very, very muddled. So everybody just kind of knows it as South Korea. So I don't mind. We can call it what you want. What do you want to go down?
South Korea.
Okay, so we're going to call it South Korea, but for the purposes of all that, you also know that we are talking about the Korea Republic, which is its formal name. Right, let's kick off, as we always do, with a little bit of World Cup news. I'm going to stop it there, which is a bit earlier than I normally do, because I think Ken's going to explode. He's shuffling his papers with such enthusiasm that anything could happen.
Well, I know what's coming up. It's interesting news. So I got quite excited shuffling my papers.
You did. You're getting well, as long as that's all you're shuffling. You were looking very excited there. Very excited. I was a bit worried your papers were going to combust. So let's get on with the World Cup news. Some good news this week, people. Some interesting news to talk about. Firstly, just yesterday, so 24 hours ago, the draw for the fourth round of the AFC, so the Asian Football Confederation, qualifiers for the World Cup, has put the teams into various groups. So we know who is going to be playing who. Now, you'll know that if you're a regular listener to this podcast, the labyrinthine, that's the only way to put it, the labyrinthine qualifying competition for Asia, which has gone on and on and on. I mean, if you do finally get there, boy, do you deserve it. We're now into round 4 of the qualifiers. 6 teams
4 and last, I think. The last one, this is.
Yeah. 6 teams from Asia have already qualified. We're left with 6 teams now that have been split up into 2 groups of 3. They'll play a little round robin, and the winner of those 2 groups will progress into the finals to make 8. And the best second place team out of those 2 groups will go into next year's regional playoff. So that's kind of where we're at. So the draw was made yesterday. So Group A is going to consist of Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, and Oman. And those little round robin competition, which is only played over a matter of days, will be taking place in Qatar. And in Group
Nick,
B,
I've got some bad news. I've got some bad news to add.
Have you?
There's a round 5.
There is a round
5. I've just checked my notes from the Asian Conference. The round 5 is where the runners-up of those 2 groups play off in round 5.
Oh, and then the winner goes into the playoffs. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes, you're right. Actually, yeah, I had it in my mind it was best place, second place, but you're right. Okay. Oh, goodness me, it's never going to end, is it? Do you think they're actually going to get finished? What will happen is a team will celebrate. That last team will celebrate getting to the World Cup, and they'll go, "Yeah, sorry, lads, that's finished. that was last year.
It's 2030.
It's now 2037. Yeah, and on board. So thanks a lot. Too late. So, okay. So let's stick with round 4. So, so we've got UAE and Oman and Qatar, and then Group B in Saudi Arabia, which is hosting these 3 games, and they will welcome Iraq and Indonesia. So all of those games take place over a matter of days in October. So we'll bring you news of all of that as and when it happens. And just a reminder that the 6 teams that have already qualified from the Asian group are Japan, Iran, Australia, Jordan, Uzbekistan, and the team we're talking about today, Korea Republic / South Korea. So that's that. Secondly, and this is really interesting news broken this week, is that IFAB, which is, of course, the body that looks at the rules of football and makes the rules of football, in brackets, up, close brackets, they're looking at introducing new rules just ahead of next year's World Cup, which will come into
and will it apply for the World Cup? Will it apply? Will they apply?
Yeah. They'll come into place on June the 1st next year.
Ooh.
So as of the World Cup next year, this is likely what's going to happen. I mean, it has to have been voted on, but normally when these things are trailed in such a way, they're a little bit of a done deal. So first one involves VAR. So VAR will be able to intervene on more things than it can do at the moment. So for the first time, it's going to be able to intervene on more what they call fact-based decisions, such as corners. So if a ball's gone out for a corner and the referee signals a corner and it's not a corner, blatantly, VAR can interject and go, "Oh, ref, you've got this wrong. and they can give a goal kick. So things like, I don't know whether that's going to be the case for throw-ins, but certainly looking at that for corners. I mean, there's so many throw-ins; it's just it'd be a nightmare. But corners are. I mean, I saw one last night when I was watching the England versus Sweden Women's European Cup quarterfinals. There was a moment where an England player crossed the ball, it hit the top of the bar and went out.
Saw that.
The referee inexplicably
gave the
corner, and everybody's going, "What? What are you looking at?" Literally, how have you seen that as a player, as a goal? I think they literally thought the goalkeeper had touched the ball, but the goalie was nowhere near it. So there's that. VAR could also be allowed to review second yellow cards, where currently they're not allowed to do that. They can rule on red, but they can rule on second yellow cards. First of all, let me just get your let me get your view on that, because there is one more rule, but let's just talk about VAR for a moment. What do you think of these?
Well, it's interesting, and it's a slightly confused picture, that, because I am a massive fan of VAR on fact-based decisions. Offside, ball being over the line for a goal, ball being over the line for a corner. I'm all over that. I think that's brilliant, and I think I welcome it with open arms. And then, though, having IFAB saying we're increasing the amount of VAR in fact-based decisions, they then say, but we're going to start looking at second yellows. Second yellows, to me, is not a fact-based decision. It's an opinion-based decision, because based on intent, based on violence, based on loads of things. It's complicated. It's not fact. It's not, was that person a millimetre beyond this line? It's more about what judgments are we making based on those circumstances. I don't like VAR getting involved in those things. I think referees should have absolute clarity and responsibility for those things. So I am massively in favour of the first one. I'm against the second one. And I don't really see how both of those things are fact-based. One of them is, one of them isn't. That's my view.
Do you think that they should be involved in red card decisions, in straight red card decisions?
No, not really.
No. It's interesting because you see some in football that you go, yeah, the referees missed that, and that was a clear red, and you're thankful for VAR's involvement. But you also see some where, and we know this, when you slow something down and look at it, frame by frame by frame, it can look a hell of a lot worse than when it does in real life, real time. It can look an awful lot worse. And that's where it's a really funny one, because you do look at it and you go, well, it looks okay. And then you look at the kind of freeze frame and you go, oh, that looks terrible. But actually, sometimes that freeze frame doesn't actually tell the picture of what's happened in real speed.
I agree. I'm 100%. And you're a qualified ref. I'm 100% behind you on that. Brilliant for fact-based. Take it out of opinion-based.
I was always surprised that they didn't do things like corners and things. I mean, it doesn't often happen where referees get corners wrong. It's very rare. But why not? No. Why not use it? I agree with you. If it's a black and white issue, if it's a kind of strict liability issue whereby it's either right or wrong and there is zero room for interpretation, that's what VAR is perfect for. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, if it's a metric-based thing, it's a measurement-based thing, brilliant. Have it everywhere. Cards. I'd have throw-ins as well, to be honest. But nothing else, please.
Straight reds, right? Straight reds are a very, very bad foul. Okay, and you can see they're a very bad foul, and therefore I can kind of understand why VAR might look at those, because they are way over and above. If you're giving a straight red for something, they are way over and above 99.9% of every other challenge you'll see in a game. Okay, yellow cards are not. Yellow cards can be given for all manner of things that are sometimes barely even fouls. But there's lots of other things going in and around there. So intent, for example, if somebody's on a breakaway, you can barely touch them, but because they're on a breakaway and because you're interfering with a promising attack, that's a yellow card, as long as you stop the game.
Yeah, it makes no sense, because at the end of the day, second yellows will end up being first yellows.
Yeah, it's a really difficult. I'm with you. I don't agree. Slope. I don't agree on this. When there is interpretation, you've got to allow the referee to interpret. I think. Yeah, you've got to allow.
Yeah, great.
Right. Okay. And the second thing that IFAB are looking at ahead of the World Cup next year is to prevent any rebounds from penalties. So when a penalty is taken, if the goalkeeper saves it, and I presume, although I don't know, this still is relevant to if it hits the post or the bar and comes back. The ball is dead. So you're not going to be allowed to run in and finish it from a save. And I presume, although I don't know, from if it hits the post or bar. What do you
Yeah,
make
I'm
of that?
generally okay with that. I'm generally in agreement with that. That essentially brings it in line with penalty shootouts. And I can't see why there'd be two different things for penalty shootouts and penalties and open play. So I would agree.
Yeah, but there's a massive difference, isn't there? Because penalties in penalty shootouts, it is just that. It's a penalty kick to score a goal. Penalties in game time, if you like, are part of open play. So as soon as the ball's kicked from the penalty kicker and is active, the game is active again. So there is a huge
Yeah,
difference.
there is a difference, but I don't really see why why it should be allowed.
Well, I don't see the point of changing it. I'm not quite sure what's wrong with the current system.
It will be to bring it in line. It'll be to bring it in line with the other penalty scenarios. But I can't get exercised about this. I'm not going to be lying in bed at 2 a.m. thinking, "Oh bloody hell, you really should they change that?" I'm kind of comfortable with it, to be honest. I haven't got a big issue with it.
Speaking of penalties, though, and speaking of penalty shootouts, as I said earlier on, I was watching the Women's European Cup quarter-final, European Championships rather, quarter-finals between England and Sweden last night. The game finished 2-2, and it then went to penalty shootout. And I think it was probably, and I don't know if you saw it, Ken, it was probably
I did. I watched it. I was on the edge of my seat.
Well, for lots of reasons. It was the worst penalty shootout I've ever seen in well over 40 years of watching football. And I include, by the way, in that any school game that I've watched my kids in, any one that I've taken part of in the garden, my club teams, the teams that I've coached, and I've coached lots of teams down the years, games where I've refereed penalty. I include every single football interaction I've ever had. I don't think I've seen a worse penalty shootout than I did between England and Sweden. 14 penalties, 5 goals scored. And it wasn't the fact that the goalkeepers were having, I mean, the Swedish goalkeepers saved quite a few, but they were rubbish penalties. I mean, they were absolutely terrible. They were easy saves. And there were one or two where the Swedish goalkeeper dived like way before the ball was kicked, and the penalty taker still kicked it straight to where they were diving to. And in the men's game,
some of them hardly reached the goal. It was absolutely abysmal.
And the run-ups were dead straight. So we know penalties is there's a bit of an art in taking penalties. And when you look at penalty takers in the men's game now, and I'm not comparing men's and women's game here, by the way, but when you see them, there is tactics involved. So the player will look at the goalkeeper. Often they'll stutter. They'll wait for the goal to move. They'll change their mind at the last time, depending on what the goalkeeper's doing. All of that kind of stuff. Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
The runners, the England players particularly, they had a ran up straight. I could tell from watching on TV exactly where that ball was going to go.
Exactly. You tell from where they plant the foot. You see where they plant the foot and the body shape. You couldn't kick it any other direction.
Yeah, and the goalkeeper knew because every single penalty she saved, and she saved quite a few,
yeah,
she was already well on her way before the ball had even left the foot of the kicker.
I'd rate my chances of saving quite a few of them. It was abysmal. There's no excuse for it. And if I was the England manager, I'd be doing is practicing penalties for the rest of the 48 hours.
Well, I'll be practicing quite a lot more because they weren't very good, England. If they want, I mean, they're the holders of the title. If they want to progress, they need to improve. Anyway, look, this is the World Cup podcast, not the Women's European Championships podcast. So we are having a look at the Korea Republic today, and let's have a look at the history, shall we? Let's have a look at the history of Korean Republic. Kenny, over to you.
Yeah, I'm going to do a quick history, quick form, quick ranking, as I normally do. So, history of South Korea. Participated in 10 consecutive World Cups, of which this one will be actually number 11. In fact, they've been qualified for now 12 in total. They're the only Asian team ever to reach the semi-finals. When they co-hosted it in 2002 with Japan. Reputedly, here's an interesting fact. Chuck this one away. If things get a bit quiet in the pub tonight, Nick, you can introduce this. Reputedly, it was introduced to South Korea, that is the game of football, when the Royal Navy sailors from the HMS Flying Fish were stationed in the port of Incheon. And I thought, what are we going to do? There's nothing to do. It's a nice sunny day. Went out of a game of football. And everyone was amazed by this game that they were playing. And it caught on in South Korea. So,
do they have a flying fish in goal? Because he would have been brilliant. He would have reached all four corners of the goal, no problem at all. You know when you bang one in from about 15 yards, you go, top bins, that's going in. You know from the moment it's left your foot. And they had a flying fishing goal who just like leaps up and flaps it over.
Do you remember, was it Billy the Fish in Viz? Didn't he play in goal at some point?
He was. He was great.
Okay. He was a great keeper. So the first time World Cup qualification when they tried was as an independent nation, because remember before World War II they were kind of part of Japan, and that wasn't a particularly happy period in Korean existence. But they first tried in 1954, which they qualified for, but they didn't have a particularly good time in 1954. They played the Hungarians, lost 9-0. Hungary were a good team back then, but then they lost 7-0 to Turkey. They never even played the third game. 1954 World Cup, by the way, had this weird system where all depended on seeding. They were supposed to play West Germany, but they never got to play the game. So they conceded 16, didn't score. Their next qualification was 32 years later in 1986, and they've qualified every time ever since. Form, interesting. Since the start of 2024, they've played 13, they've won 8, they've drawn 4, they've lost 1. But that kind of looks good on paper. Let's dig into a bit of detail on that. Let's look at the draws. Look at the teams that they've drawn with in those games in 2024, 2025. They drew twice, home and away, with Palestine, ranked 98th. They drew at home against Oman, ranked 79th. They drew at home against Jordan. Jordan are qualified, but Jordan are still ranked 64th. So in my opinion, and in the official opinion of, and we're about to find out at the end, I suppose, of Road to World Cup 26, this is a team that appears better on paper than it is in reality, in my opinion. By the way, they lost to Japan earlier on Tuesday in the East Asian Football Championship final. So they're ranked 23rd. They had a high of 17th in 1998. There's been as low as 69th in 2015. But I've got a feeling that they're not playing top-class opposition. Very difficult to gauge their true strength. They are currently third in rankings in the AFC. Japan 17th, Iran 20th, Korea 23rd, Australia 24th. But I don't think they're as good as that. So, in my opinion, South Korea look good on paper. They've already qualified, but I don't think they're as outstanding a team as many others we've talked about. So that's the history form of South Korea.
Yeah, they are a new nation really in terms of playing on the global stage. If they only started playing in the late 1950s, they're pretty new to it compared to a lot of teams who've been playing for a lot longer than that. But they seem to kind of do well. I remember when they had their breakthrough tournament, 2002 World Cup, and I mean, we'll see. We'll come to the predictions in a little bit later on. In fact, we're going to have a look at 5 key players in just a moment. But before we do, Ken, maybe a word from our partners.
Yeah, why not? Because as they know in South Korea, it pays to get your team selection right. And here at Global Sports Podcast Network, we spend a lot of time doing that, selecting our delivery partner. And we chose, as you know, if you're a regular listener, Zencastr, because Zencastr makes it very easy to bring your vision to life, share it with your audience. Full video recording, really easy editing tools, and fantastic distribution. And it's there all in one place. So if you've got a story to tell it with Zencastr. Go and check the show notes for more details. You won't regret it. Nikolai.
You won't regret it. You won't regret it. I am sure. We are big fans here at the Global Sports Podcast Network. Right. Let's have a look, shall we? Let's have a look at 5 key players for the Korean Republic. There's only one place to start, isn't there? There is really only one place to start. You got your pipe out a bit too early, Ken. It's not the quiz yet.
Oh, sorry. Chill. I was enjoying it. I was enjoying your contribution there. I was relaxing into it.
Well, that's
Tell me more. Tell me more, Nick. Tell me more.
I will. The only place to start has to be Hyun Min Son, and what a player he is, by the way. Spurs captain who just lifted the Europa League. He is such a good player, and over the last 10 years, he has been one of the Premier League's best players, regardless of the fact he plays for Tottenham. He's been the Premier League's one of their best players. I had the chance to see him, by the way, live when I went to the Tottenham Hotspur in January when they played one of the European games. he's mesmerising. When he's running at players, he uses both feet. He goes this way, he goes that way. He's mesmerising. I just thought he was absolutely brilliant.
He is.
Love him.
Great.
He's a top Asian
But he's not had the best season, though, has he? He's not had the best season this year, I don't think.
I think probably, his career is starting to kind of go.
His career. His career. Let's see what he did there.
Thank you very much indeed. So he's been injured quite a lot. Obviously, Tottenham had a terrible season last year in the Premier League. He's never quite been the same since Harry Kane left, because his partnership with Harry Kane was sensational. Remember those 2 or 3 seasons? Unbelievable.
I do.
But he's the top Asian goal scorer in both the Premier League and the UEFA Champions League history. He's widely regarded, quite rightly, as one of the greatest Asian players of all time. And he just seems like a really nice bloke. I remember, this is a little while ago, but going back to 2019, when he was involved in a really quite nasty challenge with Andre Gomez at Goodison Park when Tottenham were playing Everton. And Gomez do you remember this? Gomez was running down the line and Son came in from behind. And I don't think it was a really, really malicious challenge, but Gomez suffered a really bad injury. And Son got sent off. But he was absolutely gutted. And the red card was actually rescinded on appeal because it wasn't a red card offence. It was one of those, and it was one of those where you send somebody off based on the injury that the other player's got, rather than the challenge itself, if you know what I mean. But when he scored a few days later in one of the European games against Red Star Belgrade, instead of celebrating, he sort of apologised on camera for what he had done, and I'm just like, what a guy!
What a lovely bloke.
Yeah, and that's what I like about him. And it's what I like about the South Korea culture, to be honest with you. They're just really nice people. He spent a reported £11 million of his own money opening a soccer academy at his hometown. He's involved in anti-racism campaigns with FIFA. He's got an awful lot to offer off the pitch as well as on it. On the pitch, he's been capped by South Korea for 134 games. And within those, he's scored 51 goals. And for Tottenham, where he's been for 10 years now, although he won't be for much longer, I don't think, he's played 454 games in the Premier League for Tottenham, 173 goals. So he looks like he's going to be on his way out. He's into his last year of his contract coming up. Talk that he might be on the move to potentially Fenerbahce or the Saudi League. And but what a player he's been in the Premier League. What a player he is for Korea. And it would be lovely if he had a great World Cup next year as a bit of a Son song. A bit of a Son song. Even better.
He's a universally liked guy. He's been a great player. He's been a machine for Spurs. Can't help thinking if he'd been at a better team, what he might have achieved actually in terms of domestic achievements. But he's been an amazing talisman for South Korea. And just we wish, that he has a fantastic World Cup because he kind of deserves it.
Well, he's 33 now. He'll be 34 next year. So you do kind of think this will be his last one.
This will be his last one.
Fingers crossed. I love watching him play. Good luck to you, my friend. Good luck to you. Second player, and I always like to have a look at the goalkeepers, as you know, to get a sense of what they're all about. And continuing the theme of what I would call older goalkeepers, which seem to be a real trend in the team. The Korea Republic goalkeeper is Jo Hyun-woo. He's aged 33 years old. He is the mainstay of the Korean team, so he's been in goal there for a long time. He plays in the K-League Division 1 for Ulsan HD. He's only played for 2 clubs since turning professional in 2013. Daegu FC, who he played for 209 times before moving to Ulsan in 2020, and he's played 190 times there. So he's the main goalkeeper for the Korea Republic. He's 6'2" or 3", played 44 times for the Korea Republic. And interestingly, he's been named in the K-League 1 Best 11 for 8 years running now. So he is the best goalkeeper in that league, as well as the best goalkeeper in the country. So good luck to him. The third player I'm looking at is Kim Min-jae, or Kim Min-jae. One or the other. I think probably the second. 28 years old. Sit down.
Kim Min-jae.
Yeah, let's stick.
I think you were right the first time.
I think I probably was. 28 years old, 69 caps, 4 goals of which 6'3". He's a powerhouse centre half. Plays for Bayern Munich, so he's got good European pedigree. Looks like he's going to be leaving after 2 years in Germany. with Chelsea being the favourites to sign him. But then again,
Chelsea buy everyone, don't they? Hoover everyone up.
No, I had a note saying Chelsea were favourites to sign you, Ken. They are looking at every single player. He is technically excellent. He's a big strong lad. There are questions about his pace and his ability to play in a high line, which is why I don't think Korea play like that. But he's certainly the glue that holds that back line together. So he's one we expect to see a lot of next year. Number 4 is Lee Kang-in, who is a recent Champions League winner with Paris Saint-Germain, 24-year-old attacking midfielder, could also play out wide. He hasn't. I say he's a recent Champions League winner. That makes him sound amazing. The reality is he hasn't really made his mark. He's been at PSG for 2 years now. He hasn't really done much. He's only played 18 times each season. He's been in and out of team, and certainly the second half of this season, he hasn't really played very much at all. He's become a bit of a bit part player. Roma are sniffing around him this summer. Arsenal are sniffing around him. It's probable that he's going to leave PSG in the next few weeks. Didn't start any of the games at the recent Club World Cup. Was used off the bench. Played only 60 minutes in 4 games, so he was used off the bench, but sat on a bench for the entire game in the final against Chelsea. Now, considering Chelsea were 3-0 up within about half an hour, you'd think, well, you want to get the best attacking players on the pitch, don't you? And the fact that he didn't probably tells its own story. So likely to be moving away, but equally likely to be playing at the World Cup next year, and one, again, to keep an eye on. And then my last player is a wildcard entry for you, a bit of a wildcard, because he's a player who doesn't even feature in the World Cup squad at the moment. But my question to you is, will he next summer? Because he's the wonder kid.
Yes, he will, without question.
You don't even know who it is yet. He's the wonder kid of the South Korean.
Oh, hang on. I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. So he's dubbed. You can finish this sentence, Kenny. He's dubbed by many as the Korean. Go on.
Messi.
Incorrect, but close. Oh. He's dubbed by many as the Korean Mbappe. I don't know why, as opposed to the Korean Messi.
He's the only one.
You'll know if you've listened to this podcast before, and I hope you're a regular listener. But you'll know that every country we visit, there's a player who's dubbed the such and such Messi. So we've had the Australian Messi, the Jordanian Messi, the Uzbekistan Messi, the Argentinian Messi. I do this gag every week. I shouldn't. And so I don't know why this is the Korean Mbappe and not the Korean Messi. But
what's his name again?
His name, I haven't got there yet. But I'll tell you, his name is Park Sung-soo. So,
Park Sung-soo, as far as we're concerned, is the South Korean Messi.
I think so.
He's on the Messi team.
Yeah, we're putting a team of Messis together next year. And he's going to be in it. So we're looking at a team of Messis who aren't actually Messi, but who are dubbed the Messi of their own nation. And let's see what a good team we can come up with. So this kid is dubbed the Korean Messi for the purpose of this podcast. 18 years old. As I say, considered by many to be the top youth talent coming out of the country. And hopefully see him at the next World Cup. He has just signed in the Premier League. So we will be seeing a lot more of him here in the UK. He's just signed for Newcastle United.
Oh, Newcastle, not Chelsea then, at least.
Yeah, not Chelsea, yes. He's just signed for Newcastle United. And he becomes the 20th South Korean player to play for a Premier League club. That may or not be a hint. Kenny's Quizlet coming up later on.
No.
A lot of teams. Yeah, you better Google quickly. A lot of teams were in for this lad. Bayern were in for him. Marseille were in for him, and a few others. So, but he's gone for Newcastle. And interestingly, I mean, I'm not being cynical here, but if I was, because Newcastle have tried to sign a couple of South Korean players before, and Park Sung-soo signs just before the Magpies go on a very, very high-profile tour of
Japan.
Yeah, exactly, South Korea. So he'll be playing back in his home nation in the black and white at Newcastle. But Newcastle needs some attacking talent in their team, I think, if they're going to progress next year. And we wish him well. I'm excited to see him. I am excited to see him.
Very good.
I hope that he goes up in the northeast and keeps them where they belong, which is in the top 4 of the Premier League. Right, so there are 5 players that we are looking at. Ken, what sort of formation do South Korea play?
Well, it's an interesting one, actually. I've looked back over the last 5 games. Don't worry, I'm not going to take you through all of the lineup of the last 5 games. Essentially, when they play better teams, Japan, They've just played in the East Asia Cup final. Iran, as we know, Iran already qualified, and Kuwait. They play a 4-2-3-1. So they played some other formations against Hong Kong. They can play what they want against Hong Kong, let's be honest. They played a different formation against China, to be honest. They can play what they want against China. But against the more stiffer competition, they tend to go to the slightly defensive 4-2-3-1. I won't take you through the players. Nick has already done that. So that's what you're looking forward to. So manager Hong Myung-bo tends to favour a 4-2-3-1 formation.
Oh, I like a 4-2-3-1.
You heard it first here.
Yeah.
We all love a 4-2-3-1. I prefer a 3-4-3, quite honestly, if you've got the players to play it. But I like a 4-2-3-1 myself.
3-4-3 seems to be a bit of a trendy formation. We haven't really seen much of it. But I like a 4-2-3-1.
I think Ecuador fancy a 3-4-3.
Yeah, anybody listening to this who's a Newcastle fan or anything else, I should say, if they're going, well, you didn't tell me where the Korean Messi stroke Mbappe comes, where he plays. The answer is he plays on the wing. So he's a winger, Park Sung-soo. And he's going to provide competition for Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes up there, which is good because they need a bit of competition in those positions. Okay, let's have, Ken, a quick word from our sponsor, and then we're going to take a little look at the postbag slot.
Okay, well, Global Sports Podcast Network is partnered with Bioniq. Now, you know, if you're a regular listener, what they do. They're the world's most personalised supplements. It means that the supplements you get are designed specifically for you. So it's better than taking off the shelf supplements because with those, they don't know your body. They've not analysed your body. You don't know whether you're getting too much or too little of the nutrients you need because Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements. So you get in exactly the right levels. So click the show notes, use the code GSPN2025. You'll get a 40% discount on your first order. What's not to like? So that is our friends at Bioniq.
Excellent. Very, very good. Thank you very much, Ken. Right, last week we talked about a letter we'd had in from Michelle in Houston, who raised the issue of extra time and whether or not it was worth it. We had a good chat about what we think of extra time. Is it worth doing? What's the attitude of players to it? Are they just simply, is extra time just 30 minutes of absolute waste of time as all players just prepare for penalties, which some teams preparing to do, even in normal time with 10, 15 minutes to go. So what is the point of extra time? And Ken said, well, you know what, it'd be really interesting to see how many goals are played in extra time to kind of try and assess what the mental attitude is of players and teams. And Ken, I think you've done exactly that.
I've done a little bit of homework. So sit down, make yourself a cup of tea, get yourself a biscuit, because you've got me for 2 minutes on the subject of goals. Now, I think it's interesting because we were having a conversation about, it should be the most exciting period of the game, fatigue set in, there should be a load of goals, everyone's looking forward to extra time. In fact, as we suspected, it doesn't work like that. So I've gone looking over the extra time goals in the last 4 World Cups. That's the kind of service you're getting for free here. I spent a bit of time on each of the World Cups trying to work out the number of goals scored in extra time and in the first half and in the second half, just to see if there's any patterns there. And there is. And this is what's interesting. So over the course of the last 2 World Cups, it's been pretty consistent. 168, 169 goals scored at each one of those World Cups. 39% in the first half, 61% or 62% in the second half. That's pretty consistent. And it seems to be consistent across lots of World Cups. And you would make the argument, well, that makes sense. In the second half, the fatigue will set in. At the second half, teams are chasing the game. In the second half, you can have substitutes who are fresh against players who are fatigued, and you're going to get more goals. That makes sense. And that's actually what happens. Now, you would imagine that same pattern would carry on in extra time. You would imagine at least that more goals would be scored per minute, if you like, of the game than would be in the second half and would be in the first half. It doesn't work like that. So let's look at the last 4 World Cups. In the last 4 World Cups, there have been 21 games that have gone to extra time. Obviously, extra time doesn't apply in group stages. It only applies in the knockout stages. And in those 4 World Cups, there have been 21 games that went to extra time. How many goals have been scored in those 21 games in extra time, Nick?
Well, it's going to be low, isn't it? Otherwise, we wouldn't be discussing this. So, 21 games worth of extra time. That's quite a lot of football. 7?
Well, it's not quite as low as that. 15. So 15 goals have been scored in extra time. So that's 0.7 goals per game of extra time. In 12 of those games, of the 21 games, so 60% of them effectively, no goals. So what you tend to get is more than half the games, way more than half the games that would go to extra time don't yield any goals at all because everyone just turns defensive. In fact, what you find is that per minute played, remember extra time is only 30 minutes and first half is 45 and second half is 45, there are less goals scored per minute in extra time than either the first half or the second half. So one should expect more goals scored per minute than the second half because all the things apply of extra fatigue, substitutes on against fatigued players, people chasing the game. You would expect more goals per minute than in the second half. In fact, you get less than the second half. In fact, you get less than the first half. So we've got some data now to support the argument that extra time turns teams defensive, not offensive. And therefore, there's big argument now to say extra time is actually not worth the paper it's written on.
Interesting. Yeah, really interesting that because, I mean, of course, I guess there's a sense here that nobody's chasing the game because the game must have been drawn on 90 minutes for extra time to be taking place. So it just becomes a little bit of a chess match. But yeah, no, very interesting.
It does, and everyone's playing for penalties. Everyone's playing for penalties. You might as well just go straight to penalties.
Very good. Thank you very much indeed. And I hope, Michelle, and
thank you.
You appreciate that excellent little bit of research from Ken.
Bless you. Bless you. Can only mean one thing.
It can mean one thing. It can only mean
Get the pipe out, Ken.
Get your pipe out, get your hat out. Your reward for that excellent piece of research, Ken, is Kenny's quiz, ladies and gentlemen. It's everybody's favourite time of the week. Play along at home. Shout out the answer at your mobile telephone, your laptop, wherever you are listening to this podcast. Whatever you're listening to on, shout out the answer. Here we go for Kenny's quiz on South Korea. I've got to say, I put in as much effort into Kenny's quiz as I do the rest of this podcast. And as part of my research, I kind of take part in online quizzes of this particular country to kind of get a sense of what the answers are. I took place in several South Korea kind of cultural quizzes. Mate, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. So I've tried to make these easy as I possibly can because some of the answers...
It's like a foreign country, isn't it?
Who would have thought? Right, question number 1. In what year did Seoul host the Summer Olympics? In what year did Seoul host the Summer Olympics?
Ooh, Seoul Summer Olympics. I'm going to guess. Olympics happened 2 years after the World Cup. So if I know there's a World... I'm going to say 2006.
Close.
No, that was a World Cup year, 2008.
No, yeah. I have to accept. That's the real shame about this is that I have to accept your first answer. And if you'd said 2008 first, you still would have been miles out. The answer is 1988.
Doesn't time fly?
North Korea. This is question number 2. I thought that was gettable. That one. Honestly, it's a lot more gettable.
You're about to ask me a question on North Korea now. We're talking specifically about South Korea.
We are. North Korea, yeah, but that was the only question I had on South Korea, so I thought I'd go try something. Have you been swatting up on your borders, by the way, Ken?
No, no. I haven't been swatting up on anything. I don't see the point of swatting up because I never get the things to swat up on.
Fair days. North Korea.
I'm winging all this.
Yeah. Well, we can tell. North Korea and South Korea formally separated in 1948. And you talked a little bit about this earlier on. You referenced the end of the Second World War and Japanese occupation and stuff like that. They formally separated in 1948. In the run-up to that, the two countries so North Korea and South Korea, were military occupation zones controlled by which two superpowers? I think you'll notice straight away.
Well, I would imagine it would be America and China. I would imagine it would be America and China. The other moment we're thinking about this, and think back about that. China wasn't really a superpower then. It's either America and Russia, maybe. But I don't think Russia really got involved in North Korea. I'm going to say America and China.
Well, I've got my hand over the cheering button here, but I'm not going to press it because the answer was the Soviet Union, which controlled North Korea, and the USA, which controlled South Korea.
Can't believe I got that wrong.
No, I can't believe you got that one. But this
I
is
thought
an
you were
easy
going to ask me about the border. You said about border. It was at the 51st parallel. I've got a feeling that they were separated across the 51st parallel.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, I think the question of which country does South Korea border with might be a little bit too easy for you. Although I'm not sure. I might ask that, and you might still get it wrong. If I ask you what country is South Korea on the border with that begins with North and starts with a K, I think you might still struggle.
That's right. North Kuwait.
Right, last question, and this plays into your musical sensibility. So I think you'll get this. This is right up your musical street. South Korea spawned the global phenomenon of K-pop, which I love it when you put your head in your hands. Which is the most famous K-pop act? I love it when you look like that at me. Everybody around the world shouting this answer out. Everybody knows this. What is the most famous K-pop act? You must know the answer to this. Come on, Kenny.
I kind of know the thingy. Is it Guangdong style or something?
Do you mean Gangnam
style? Gangnam style.
Yeah, but that's not a K-pop act. That's just a song based on a song.
Oh yeah, this is these five lads. Isn't these five young lads? This is these five young lads. K-pop. I think they're called this. The seven. This is these seven young lads, isn't it? I had no idea what they're called though. K-pop lads. Oh my word!
Do you want to help you out here? Do you want me to give you a clue?
Yeah, give us a clue.
So it's 3 letters. Okay, 3 letters.
Yeah.
Go on.
KLM, JLS, ABC. They're all bands with 3 letters.
Do you mean other than the Dutch airline? Yeah. KLM.
WTF.
No, you're close, but no cigar. The answer is, of course, and everybody knows this, BTS. BTS is the answer. They're a massive global phenomenon. I know loads of people who went to see them in London not long ago. They're huge. I mean, they're not huge. They're quite small. But they're
4 for 11.
But they are so popular and so famous.
Not with me. They're not. I wish they'd be called WTF. That would be much better.
Well, maybe you and I should start a band called the 2-man band called WTF. Maybe we should rename this podcast. Right, 0 out of 3, Ken. Not a great week.
That was appalling, wasn't it?
That was appalling. Yeah, you're back to your early season relegation form. Right, before we do our predictions, a very, very, very quick look at the manager of Korea, Hyung Myung-bo, considered one of the greatest Asian players of all time. Hong played in 4 World Cups for South Korea. 4 World Cups. And he was the first Asian player ever to receive the bronze ball at the FIFA World Cup.
Oh, yeah.
And the bronze ball,
what's
if you
that?
don't know what it is.
Well, I did suffer from it, but it cleared up after a couple of weeks with a bit of cream.
The bronze ball is for the third best player at the World Cup.
That's rubbish, though, isn't it? That's like being the second best trumpeter in Ashbourne, isn't it?
Yeah, but imagine what the 33rd player gets.
Dirt ball.
So anyway, look, the point is that as a player, he was very, very highly recognised and very well pedigree, really, isn't it? Because he played in 4 World Cups, so fair play to him. Even though you might snarl at his bronze ball, it's a great thing. No other South Korean players got it, or had it at the time. He took over his current job as head of the national team last year. It's not his first rodeo on this effect because he's been around his national setup for quite a long time. He's been an assistant to the men's team, which happened not long after he retired from playing in 2005. He's coached under 23s. He's coached the men's B team because there's like a career like the reserves, the B team. His first spell as the main head of the South Korea team was in 2013 when he took them on ahead of the 2014 World Cup. So he had that kind of 8 or 9 months to get them ready for the 2014 World Cup. But they didn't win a game, I'm afraid, at that tournament. So he resigned. Poor effort.
In disgrace.
Well, it wasn't quite in disgrace, but it wasn't great. It wasn't great. I was going to make a gag there, but this is a family show, so I can't say what I was about to say. just appealed to me then. So I'll gloss over that very, very quickly. He seems to be doing better this time. Of course, they've qualified unbeaten, 6 wins, 4 draws. He's seen them over the line pretty, very comfortably. He emphasises a high energy, very Korean style kind of approach. I think we know exactly what you're going to get with his team. They're going to run around a lot, disciplined defence, transition to attack. They'll swarm all over you. They'll do it at pace. And that's what you kind of expect. That's his coaching style. And he's been around that setup for a long time. So I don't think we're going to see many surprises in terms of how they play again.
And 4-2-3-1 suits that. Loads of transition, loads of defence into attack. It's going to be... We can envisage it, can't we?
Yeah, one of the great things about 4-2-3-1, if you've got the players to play it, is that you can just say to the front 4, just go and don't worry about your defensive duties. We've got four defenders and 2 DMs. Just go and play. Equally, you can also say, which is why I like it because it's so fluid. You can also say to the 2 DMs, look, you just sit and a fullback's bomb on. So and the centre halves just push a bit wider. So you kind of create that 3-man defence, if you like, with a DM sitting in front. Or likewise, you can also get, if you're doing well on it and the game's going well, or indeed if you need to, you can just sit one of the DMs can pivot. So one can sit, one can go. So it becomes a 5-man attack. There's just lots of variation you can do with a 4-2-3-1. I always liked to play it when I was a coach. I just think it's a great formation because it's very, very, very changeable depending on any circumstance. Not just circumstance of games, but circumstance within 5 minutes of games, 10 minutes of games. You can just move stuff around quite easily. Very flexible.
It's certainly the most popular formation that we've come across in our review of the World Cup teams. No doubt about that.
And
it's very popular.
That tells its own story. Right, we're going to finish as we always do with predictions. I went first last time, so Ken, I'm going to hand over to you. How do you think the Korean Republic are going to get on at next year's World Cup?
Well, somewhat controversially, I think they're going to have a pretty poor tournament. I don't expect great things from South Korea. I've spent a lot of time looking at their results. They're pretty unconvincing, and they're pretty unconvincing against pretty ordinary opposition. So I think when they come across much stronger opposition, I think they're going to get found out. So my opinion, and I think a lot is riding on Son Heung-min. I think he's obviously their talisman. He is definitely on the wane, though we love him to pieces. He's definitely not the player he was 3 years ago. And so, I just think they haven't got the talent that's really going to trouble the better teams. So I'm going to go for, they are exiting, they'll get through the group stages, they're coming out in round 32.
Okay, yeah. I've got to say, I wholeheartedly concur. I had them going out in the round of 32 as well for the same reasons. I just don't think they're that good. They'll be good enough. They're better than the kind of lower level of teams. So we've talked about Jordan, we've talked about Uzbekistan, who I don't expect to get out of groups. I think they will get out of the groups, but they might get through to the 16s if they get a really favourable draw. But I don't expect them to necessarily win the group, which means they're going to come up against a better team in the round of 32. And I think that's where they will exit. Not with any disgrace. I just don't think they're that good. I don't think they're that good at the moment, and that'll be that. That'll be that. So we're both on the same page, mate.
I'm just looking at the predictions we've made already. We're not far off on most of them. We don't really have massive disagreements. And next time we're off to the land down under.
Yeah. I'm interested to know that. I mean, obviously we do these predictions when we talk about the predictions at the end of the podcast. It's probably the one bit of the podcast that we don't share information on because, believe it or not, we do a lot of planning. We rehearse. We know the running order, etc., etc., etc. But the one thing we never discuss, obviously, is Kenny's quiz. But we never discuss predictions, and yet we do seem to be online. So we're either football geniuses or we know nothing about this game whatsoever. Time will tell. Time will tell. So
of the 12 teams we've had so far, I think we've agreed on 9 of them where they're going now.
That's extraordinary. Very good. Well, there's loads more to come, though. There's 48 teams in this World Cup. Right, that brings us to the end of this episode. So, listen, I hope you've enjoyed that deep dive into whatever you call it, whether you call it Korea Republic, whether you call it South Korea, entirely up to you. Lots of information about there for you to take away and impress all your friends and family with. Next week is our last look at the current qualifying teams because it comes to the end of until more teams qualify. We've done them all. And as Ken says, we're going to take a trip down under. I shall get my kangaroo sound effects ready and I shall be bouncing all the way through next week. Looking forward to a trip to Australia. Australia, Ken. That will be good. That is definitely one that we should do on location. But for now, hope you've enjoyed this. Have a fabulous week, everybody. Look after each other. Look after yourselves. From us, it's goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.